Thank you for taking the time to come and be part of TEDx Noah Libraries 2020. All around our region and state, across the country, and around the globe, people just like you and me are hungry for ideas and information. We all want to know more. We want to imagine, and we want to understand. And TEDx events are organized to provide opportunities to connect us with ideas worth spreading. TEDx has lent Snow Libraries its name and approach, allowing us to independently organize a local TED-like event. Because at its core, your public library is all about providing you with ideas and information. And together with TEDx, we have worked to share some of these ideas with you. Now, the really hard work to make this happen has come from each featured speaker and all those who have worked with them behind the scenes. So we invite you to sit back and imagine the largest theater ever. You are appropriately social distance in this virtual space where other members of the audience are all choosing to be present. We are all expectant. We're ready to think deeply. And we are reimagining the quantum connections between ideas and realities. And now, on with the show. Thank you for taking the time to come and be part.
And welcome to TEDx Noah Libraries, to our online event. This will be our kickoff today. And I'm your host, Phil Klein, and I'm here to share with you community voices that have wonderful and important ideas to spread that have been sprouting out from our local community here in Snohomish and Island counties. And we will be premiering their TEDx talk. This was the first of our online events, and we will be holding 15 sessions over the coming weeks and next couple months where we premiere a TEDx talk and hold a conversation, a curated conversation that will help us to dig deeper into their ideas and into where we can go from there. If you're a new or a returning attendee of TEDx, thank you for taking the time to be with us and to explore these ideas. Perhaps it was inevitable that we would arrive at this format and connect directly with you in your homes or wherever you may be watching us from, because we've had over 1 billion views of TEDx Talks since that program has launched. And we're very eager to share with you and connect you to ideas from our local community. Throughout this hour, we will have an opportunity for you to ask questions in the comment and chat bar, whether you're in our Zoom webinar or in Facebook Live or YouTube watching. And we are eager to hear what ideas are springing to your minds and what questions you may have as we get to know our speakers a little bit better. So without further ado, it's time for TEDx. So I want to welcome our guests today. Today we have Holly, Molly, and Elizabeth, who are 3 high school students on the robotics team of the Wildcats at the Oak Harbor High School. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here and to join us. I wanted to ask you, Holly, first off, to tell us a little bit about why you decided that you wanted to do a TEDx talk and share your idea. What was it that inspired that?
So initially we were approached to by our mentor, and I believe someone had connected with our mentor telling them about this opportunity that TEDx Snow Isle Libraries was presenting to be able to share ideas. And whoever that was that spoke with our mentor really believed in the message that they had seen through all the things that our team had done with the community. And we instantly knew that this was the platform for us to be able to share the idea and the drive that we have to really change the world, whether that be starting small in Oak Harbor or branching out and changing everyone's lives. So,
thank you, Holly. Molly, do you have thoughts about what inspired you to connect this way?
I really feel like, yes, what Holly said, we were connected with somebody who connected with our mentor. With our experiences through helping people, I think with the TED Talk, we were able to show that.
Great. And Elizabeth, anything to add?
No, not especially.
Okay, great. So, well, you're in for a treat. I have worked with many people who have worked in volunteerism and have had ideas about how to best contribute in our community. But the three of you have really created a new bar and a new set of opportunities for us. So let's go ahead and roll your beautiful TEDx talk. We'll join afterwards and have a conversation.
How many of you have ever heard that you can change the world? That you can make a difference? And how many of you actually know how to do that, or even believe that it's true? What if we told you that last year we 3D printed prosthetics,
Built microhomes for the homeless,
and created systems to help the blind navigate the world. Now, we're not saying that you need to quit your jobs and dedicate all your time to helping Habitat for Humanity, but we want to show you the impact that each and every one of you can make as well. Sure, we didn't do this on our own. Our robotics team did it together. But if a group of teens can change an entire community, then imagine what each and every one of you can do as well.
maybe you don't have a lot of opportunities for community service, or maybe you don't have any ideas of your own on how you can help. When many people hear the words community service, they may envision working in a soup kitchen and not much else. However, changing lives takes many different forms. The first step is to simply listen to the problems of those around you. And it doesn't even have to be a big effort on your part. Now, this may seem like a daunting task. It's taken our team 12 years to establish relationships based on helping others and coming up with solutions based on listening. Something that our team recognized was the large homelessness issue within Washington State. We contacted local charities and organizations to see what we could do to help. We decided on building 2 microhomes and donated them to a local charity for homeless youth. In these tiny houses, there's the basic necessities such as a shower, a toilet, a refrigerator, and even a bed. The only difference, however, is that it was all within 50 square feet. This was a way that we could help our community, and it all started with simply listening.
we are in a place of privilege where we have the time and resources to help others. You may not have an entire robotics team behind you and funding from big corporations to help in your endeavors, but in reality, helping others doesn't have to cost you. If you don't have the ability or materials to build a microhome, you can help people in less demanding ways. Another thing that we did to help the homeless that didn't require nearly as much effort as building a microhome was holding a blanket drive. All we did was put out the word that we were collecting blankets, and the community responded. These supplies were still very essential for the homeless community, and while it was a small effort, it still had a big impact. It is possible to help others with minimal time and effort on your part.
This effort is worth your time, and helping others can benefit you too. Now, it's important to recognize that while you're not the focus of service, there are so many ways that it can help you as well. Studies show that helping others can improve your self-image and increase your compassion. These are 2 skills largely associated with reducing levels of anxiety and depression. As someone who's struggled with anxiety their entire life, I've firsthand witnessed the ways that service can change your perspective. Not only that, but every interaction that you have is an opportunity to learn from those around you. There are so many different cultures and life experiences that can be truly eye-opening. If you take even a little bit of time to get to know those around you while you help them, you can create an unlimited number of bonds. About a year ago, I got to meet one of the sweetest people. Her name's Michaela. She's a 4-year-old girl missing one of her arms just below her elbow. Our robotics team was able to create a prosthetic for her that allowed her to ride her bike safely for the first time. When she came to our robotics room, she was overwhelmed by everyone surrounding her to take measurements of her arm and trying to fit her for her first prosthetic. I didn't do much. I simply sat next to her on a table and played games with her to keep her mind off of everything going on around her. And when it was finally time, I watched her ride her bike around our school hallway for almost an hour. But her smile was enough to change the way that I think forever. Whenever I lose motivation to help others or forget what I'm doing it all for, I simply think about her smile and the way it made me feel, and the fact that I was able to change a little girl's life in a huge way.
You can all do the same. Every skill can make a difference. Our examples are all construction and engineering based because those are the skills that we've developed through robotics. But this world is made up of so many people with so many different skills. There are bakers and artists, construction workers and retail workers, and so many other jobs that people in this world do daily. Challenge yourself to use the skills from whatever job you do or hobby you might have to help others. Even just speaking to those around you can make a difference, and it's what we're doing right now. You all have the skill to speak to those around you. Service can become something as second nature as talking, and the possibilities for what you can do to help others are endless. The only limit is your imagination.
Through discovering these endless possibilities, our team became one of the largest resources for gardening and other eco-friendly projects within our community. Now, at this point, you may be asking yourself, what does gardening have to do with robotics? And to that I say, it doesn't, but we did it anyways because we saw the need in our community and we knew that even the smallest skills that we've learned, such as how to use a power drill, could be helpful in constructing needed facilities for gardening.
This is a list of projects and events that our team has done over the past several years. As you said before, a big part of what we do is simply talking to others. We've connected with everyone from local elementary schoolers to our representatives and legislators in Olympia through outreach events.
And it doesn't stop there. Our construction-based projects, such as our microhomes and prosthetics, are some of the biggest projects that we do, as reflected in our list.
We also dedicate a lot of time to teaching others, and we went all the way to a school in Costa Rica to teach kids there the basics of programming and engineering. This is an example of how we have learned and grown in order to teach the next generation to continue our efforts.
You can see just how much good has been generated through these efforts. But this level of impact would not have been possible if not for the countless hours we've been able to dedicate to serving others. If service is something that's part of your daily routine, something you do automatically, then you may find, like us, that your community is a place full of potential projects and solutions just waiting to be found by you. Thank you.
9, 8, 7, 6. And a fill.
Hi, and welcome back. Hi, and welcome back. Wow. You know, this is the point where if we were on a big stage, as it's been described, I would probably have you pause before asking you to walk off as you accepted the wild applause of a large audience. Well, we live in a world where we get to be socially distanced and communicate, but we also get to be face-to-face in this way. So it's a delight to be able to slow down a little bit and unpack
You're going to continue doing it all
some
week
of
long.
what it is that you have been sharing in your talk. So I want to slow down and think about how other people may be experiencing this challenge of volunteering. I feel like a lot of people, like you said in your talk, have pre-existing ideas about what it means to volunteer. They think of it as helping people who are less fortunate, for example, or of doing things because it's the right thing to do. But it feels to me like you've hit something simpler and more clear, which is it's almost like you have this superpower of problem to solution connection. It's just like you see a problem, and with skills you already have, you can just take the steps to solve them. It's almost like there are only two kinds of problems: the problems that you're solving and the problems that just haven't been solved yet. Am I capturing a little bit of how it feels to you? Could you speak in your own words to how you see the sort of philosophy of what it is that you're doing? Molly? Or Holly, go ahead.
I think in terms of the philosophy or how we see the challenges and the problems in our community, it is simply just trying our hardest to handle everything. So like you were saying, two types of problems, the ones we're currently solving, the ones we haven't gotten to yet. Every problem that we see, we look at and we're like, can we face it now? Or is there something that we have to wait to do, but we still want to be able to do something about it? I think the biggest hurdle is just starting the solution for us. So there have been times where our mentor will be like, oh, we've already started thinking about how to solve it, so we're basically already done solving it. We really just need to get to the point where we can start solving things, and that's really just what we try to do.
It sounds a little bit like that connects with the engineering and science background that you work with. Could you speak a little bit to how being on the robotics team or in starting to care about and learn about science has influenced the way you approach the problems that you see?
Yeah, so when we're on our robotics team, there's 30 of us, right? And like when we're working on the robot, especially, there are a million things that need to get done on it in a very short amount of time. We have 6 weeks to build a robot. So if there's something that needs done, people just need to step up and do it. And that's carried over into the community service aspect of our team, where if something needs done, somebody has to step up and do it because they need to get done.
And is there a lot of formal structure to who does what and who's in charge and how things go? How do you manage and organize leadership in your team?
We don't particularly have a super structured form of leadership on our team, because as a whole, we try to encourage everybody to have their moment of leadership. So each and every one of us, all 30 of us, have had their project that has specifically resonated with them, or even just one little section of the robot that specifically resonates with them, and they got to work to lead the construction of that. And clearly there's some people that generally have more tendencies to leadership. I think the three of us over our time on the robotics team have had a lot more training in being more formal leaders, but we really just try to cultivate an atmosphere that allows everyone to grow into whatever form of leadership they can feel comfortable with.
Very, very clear. Molly, for you, what is it that you'd like to focus on, or what project area has been that sort of hook for you that you've found yourself most drawn to and to working on?
So if we're talking about specific projects that I've done, I feel like the first project that I did with the team, the garden shed that was stated in our talk, that was the first project I'd ever done with the team. And I feel like that really drew me to the community outreach aspect of the team. I was invited to come help the robotics team in constructing this garden shed for a local elementary school. And once we were completed with the project, I saw how we made an impact on these elementary schoolers trying to make their school greener. And I think that really drew me to that part of the team.
So you made the transition from kind of being an outsider before joining it, and then you started it. How difficult was it to get over that hurdle, that first hurdle of kind of getting involved?
Well, it was kind of difficult because I didn't have the experience like the other team members did, like with the power tools and such. But I think once I learned how to work together with them and learn how to use these tools, it really helped, and it was easier to get over that hurdle once those were learned.
Okay, so we can start with simple skills, and then we may learn some, and that will make it maybe easier to engage. And Elizabeth, for you, what is an element that you find yourself most drawn to in volunteering, or to what is a project that you've been particularly focused on and appreciative of doing?
Yeah, so me and Molly have actually been trying to build a water purification system for the past couple of years. And I think what's drawn me to that is just the globalization of the issue and how it's relevant for so many parts of our world, like the need for clean water. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so you're not afraid of big problems, That was something on my list of like, well, okay, we can start easy and start small, but the idea that even big problems don't seem to frighten you, or you really just sort of think constructively in how you approach them, that seems like a very powerful asset to keep you from either burnout or, falling short. Could you speak a little to the question of, burnout? I know, Holly, you had that moment where you described whenever you feel like you're either lost or you forget why your motivation is. You just remember the smile and how you felt when Michaela um, was able to do something she couldn't before. Um, but still, there must be still times where it gets pretty difficult, or you may need to prevent burnout. Tell us a little bit about what it is that you do or that your team does to kind of keep people engaged and motivated, even when the going gets tough. Holly or anyone wants to answer that?
Yeah, so I think a big part of the reason that we're able to prevent burnout is because we can do it as a team, and not everyone has that privilege of being a part of a team. Elizabeth did say in our talk that we are in a place of privilege and we do have such a large support system. But I think just when it comes to service, an important part is trying to find others that you can connect with so you feel that you're making a difference, even if you particularly were not, say, able to make a project. You know that something you are a part of, the bigger picture that you are a member of, that you are associated with, is still making a difference. So for us, there's 30 people. All three of us have not been able to be at every single outreach event and every project that we've done because the team as a whole and those around us understand the importance of pacing yourself, but still being able to make a big impact. So I think finding a community that you can be a part of is a really good way to prevent yourself personally from just going until you can't anymore.
Yeah, and to speak to that a little bit more, you said you began with listening, listening to people in your community. Can you share a little bit about what listening skills that you find yourself drawn to practicing, and how can someone who really hasn't looked for problems before start to build that muscle? And I don't know who should I call on here. Maybe Molly, would you like to take a stab at that? What makes for a good listener, and for thinking about how you can start to solve a problem, or where you might find problems if you haven't started looking for them till now?
Yeah, I think just listening to the people around you, hearing what they have to say, maybe some difficulties they've faced during their lives can really help you understand, like, hey, maybe sometime during my life, I haven't had enough blankets at my house, and then you hear that problem and you're like, yeah, we could do something about that, get you some blankets. I think, yeah, listening to the people around you can help you develop listening skills. Just listening helps you develop listening.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually spoke with someone recently who said they were addicted to listening, right? Like it becomes a habit forming practice. And part of what you're saying also suggests the importance of kind of looking into places that, may be easy to overlook. Maybe you mentioned, you mentioned the homelessness issue and, people not having blankets. Sometimes it can be difficult to see people in their hardship. What makes it easier for you to kind of cross that, whatever barrier or resistance you might have, so that you can kind of reach out and connect, which seems like one of the next steps is after you listen to kind of reach out. Let's see, Elizabeth, do you have thoughts on how you kind of do that reaching out to, and who to
Yeah,
reach out to?
so it may be uncomfortable to see someone in hardship, but I think you just have to realize that it's not really about you when you're helping someone else. I mean, you just have to understand that you can do something and that you should do that. And a little bit of uncomfortableness shouldn't stop you from helping someone or changing their life.
Can you think of an example, Elizabeth, when something was uncomfortable and you were able to kind of push through that in a healthy way?
Yeah. So I don't know.
This could be one of those very moments. Yes, that's fine. That's fine. There's no testing done. Yeah, go ahead. Someone else.
I know personally that there is a girl at our school who we also did prosthetics for when she was younger, and it's always a little uncomfortable when I see her in the halls, and I'm encouraged to talk to her and make sure the prosthetics are still working for her. And from time to time, she'll outright say things like, oh yeah, that one didn't really work for me. It didn't really fit. It didn't really quite fit the need of what I wanted. It was still like I still super appreciate the thoughtfulness behind your guys' generosity, but it doesn't really work. And so it's a little bit uncomfortable to try and talk to her about why it wasn't good and why it wasn't beneficial for her, but just understanding that those conversations that might be a little awkward are going to get her to a more beneficial and like better place with her need.
Letting the discomfort motivate you a little bit to keep reaching out. And it feels a little bit like that science background where, well, you look at the evidence and what does the data say? And if it tells you, something isn't working, you can have a productive attitude about that. That's really helpful. So I want to invite anyone who's watching online, if you have any questions that you'd like asked, please feel free to ask that in our chat. Our moderators are monitoring that and they'll feed the questions in. I see one question that's come in is, how do you plan to keep your volunteerism going in the coming years? Do you see that continuing to grow or change? Let's see, let's start with Holly and we'll ask each of you the same question here. You have a big change coming up ahead, don't you, next year?
Yeah. I'm going off to college in the fall, which means that for once I will not be with the robotics team. I will be in an entirely different atmosphere, trying to help an entirely different subset of people. So I think for me personally, my goal is just to evaluate the different atmosphere that the University of Washington has versus Oak Harbor. It's a big place, and Seattle is right, it's right in Seattle. So there's many different needs and it's on a different scale. So I think trying to scale the impact that I've had beyond Oak Harbor is where I hope to take my impact and my reach.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'm sure they'll more than appreciate that. There's probably a lot of need to keep cross-pollinating with what you have to offer there. Molly?
Yeah, so I'm also going to be moving from my current location. I'll be leaving the Wildcats as well, but I feel I'm going to be joining a robotics team at my new school, so I'll be spreading my knowledge and my experience to that new school and robotics team in hopes to expand our outreach to there as well.
Great, so growing that. And Elizabeth?
Yeah, so since both of these two are leaving, I'm probably going to have to take more of a leadership role with the team and pushing for projects. So that'll be interesting. And then also teaching all of the new people on the team the skills they need to continue our community projects, because I'll be gone the year after that. And then when I'll go to college, we'll be learning skills to better help people around us. So.
Excellent. One other question we hear is being asked is that volunteering for me is usually a one at a time kind of activity. How do you make it into a habit, and what made it habitual for you? I guess the team played a role in that. Was there anything else that made it something that you just made it second nature as you talk about it?
I think that the connection aspect of it is something a lot of people don't quite get to. They know that they're doing something good, but they don't kind of take the time to digest each individual that they're helping. So for me, getting to work with the individuals that I was helping, getting to work with Michaela with her project, to work with kids that we're teaching robotics to that are in 3rd and 4th grade, getting to individually connect with them, it made it something that I just constantly wanted to do. I just wanted to continue to see that smile on people's faces and see the change in their lives. And so I knew that every little thing that I did, whether that be just simply smiling at someone who looked like they were having a bad day, which I get is kind of the cheesy example everyone hears, is smiling can change someone's life. But you know, it really can. And seeing that connection with so many different people has just continued. The more I see it, the more I want to continue to see it. So I think it's just a spiral of wanting to continue helping more and more and more.
Hmm. That's an important few things you just brought up there, Holly. And maybe we can open that out a little bit more. You know, you seem aware that, you know, you aren't trying to solve all the world's problems at once, nor are you turning a blind eye to the fact there are really difficult challenges that are beyond what you may be able to do. So you seem to have both a realistic attitude, and yet you maintain a certain kind of optimism. Are there some problems that you feel like need to get solved, but that are just ones that you just have to let go of trying to solve, or that you really need to change your mind in a certain way in order to solve them? In other words, are there some things that are kind of too much, or how do you make a problem sizable so that you can do something about it when it feels like it's either overwhelming or everywhere?
So that kind of brings me back to the water purification system that our team is trying to make. We first started this project like 10 years ago. The original idea was to make a water purification tricycle, so to have the tub of water on the tricycle and be able to move it around easily. And that didn't really get a whole lot of momentum, and so the team left it alone for like 5 years. And then me and Molly joined the team, and we rethought the idea and just came up with a filtration system. And so now we're working on that. And yeah, hopefully this will be the idea that makes it a reality.
You know, I try to wear a few different hats while working with you. One of them is, of course, I want to hear the value in your idea, but I also want to question it and find ways to challenge it. But I'm having a difficult time because you seem motivated by discomfort and to do more when things get difficult. You seem even motivated by failure to continue to do better. So you've kind of put me in a corner here because I can't find a problem with what you're doing that you haven't already both thought of and addressed in the way that you are making problem solving and community engagement normal for even those of us who can only sometimes bang, you know, a nail with a hammer, like myself. So I'd love to hear from you your thoughts. If people could take you the seed of your idea and plant it in their own minds, what do you see happening in the world around you? That's a big question. Feel free to take a minute to think about it, and I'll let any one of you who wants to respond go for it. What's becoming normal in your dream of how things can be?
I feel like the world would become like a more unified place, like a giant community of everybody working together, trying to help each other out. That's what I see.
See, for me, I keep coming back to the connection of helping others because that's been what's driven me so much. And so in a world where everybody, you know, absorbs the spirit of community service and the drive that people like us are having in their own hearts, you know, I just see so much connection of cultures and, you know, life experience and just a true understanding of hardships that other people face. And just, I think the number of solutions that could be put out into the world and actually acted upon is exponentially like growable from here. So yeah, I don't know.
Wow, Elizabeth, do you have any thoughts about what you'd like to see in the world in your future?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like Molly said with one big community. I think it would be amazing if everybody in the world was like just one big team, like what we have here with our 30 people. And so then when like burnout is threatening, you can just take a break and know that there are 7 million other people on the planet that can step in and do good while you're sitting one out. Okay.
So a world where everyone has a part and everyone is playing a part and contributing in the way that they can, and that is both good for them and good for others.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty good place. Wow. So we're facing a challenge worldwide right now in the shape of the global pandemic of COVID-19, and people are having to socially distance, and it's having an effect on what kind of volunteer opportunities people can do. I'm curious, have you come up with some ideas of how you can keep volunteering even when there needs to be these special constraints? Molly?
Yeah. So our team has definitely done some projects during the course of this pandemic. We've created 3D printed masks to give to people within our community. We've done Zoom calls to kids who want to join a robotics team later in their life. We've boosted the morale of our team and people within our community as well.
So you found some things you can do. If somebody is kind of out in their own communities and they don't have quite the same access, do you have any thoughts or suggestions for them about what they might be able to do?
Yeah, well, I think making sure that people within your smaller community, like maybe your family, is doing okay during this tough time. Maybe making donations to charities, and making sure your neighbors are also doing well during this time as well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So that's really good. So there's always something you can do.
Yeah.
Definitely. So and you mentioned a project that you've done. That's fantastic. Let's see. And are there any ways in which you feel like what you've been doing needs to scale and you've had to solve that problem? For example, with the blankets drive, you can do that once, but how often does something like that need to happen in order to fully address the need? For those kinds of needs that, I've heard social work is, for example, as a field has been described as, well, people are just mopping the floor when they've got to sort of turn off the water that's spilling onto the floor. Some kinds of problems are like that, or that need ongoing support and attention. Have you figured out ways to sort of scale a solution so that it meets a broader need than you originally envisioned?
I think with our green projects, we first started with some compost bins, but that has expanded a lot into a garden shed, and the micro homes that we built have compostable toilets and have solar panels. And so we just infuse that green technology into most everything that we do. Yeah, it's grown based on community interest and need. I mean, we didn't just do these projects because we were like, oh, it would be great. Like people asked for them. So I think it's just grown that way.
Okay, great. So I'm seeing that we do have about good number of questions coming in, and so I want to turn to some questions from the audience. Let's see, we have a question about digital volunteering. Are there ways to volunteer that are fully online that you can think of as a good resource for people? Or is it really just connecting with organizations as you suggested? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, for the most part, digital volunteering would probably just be rooted in sort of more of a morale situation, making sure that the mental health of those that you're connecting with digitally are, better in a better place than they would be without any sort of connection. Since this is an event with the library, I'm sure that there's a lot of different ways that you could, read to people through digital experiences, or, um, maybe music, just different skills that you have, different abilities, capabilities, whether they be small or big, being able to present those to any number of people in the community that might need it. That's a pretty simple way of being able to connect digitally right now.
Mhm. And then for projects that you've worked on, there's a question about the microhome projects. Do you know about how people might connect with others who are also doing microhomes, or how does the microhomes that you've done connect with other microhomes that have been put out in the world?
So before you build a microhome, I would suggest to people to do the research first, because the microhomes that we built are not exactly up to code, and Island County laws have prevented them from being used. So Ryan's House is actually going to auction them off to get money for their charity, because we can't use them where we live. So do the research first. That was one mistake that we made, but mistakes are learning opportunities. And then I don't know what someone can do to reach out and form a group to build a microhome. But I mean, I'm sure people are more creative than me, and you can just go and talk to people. You can start by forming an organization to do all community service projects. Talk to people that have skills that would help with microhomes. Those are my ideas.
Fantastic. There are a bunch of questions that are coming in about how your work with robotics has been part of the focus of what you're doing. Let's see. So, which robotics technologies are you focused on, and what is the connection between some of the robotics-specific activities that you do and any technology or robotics-related activity has connected with the volunteering that you're doing?
So a big, actually robotics centered project that we do is we volunteer with the kids in our community through what are called EV3 robots. They're basically, it's a brick that's called the brain of the robot, and you're able to program it with software online fairly simply, and you build off of it with Lego pieces essentially. And we connect with a bunch of the different elementary schools in our community to do First is the organization that we do robotics through, First Lego League. So we mentor kids on how to build and program robots. So that's a big thing that we actually do in terms of robotics. And then a lot of our projects, so I briefly mentioned in the talk, systems to help the blind navigate the world is something I mentioned. Those are haptic feedback systems that use sensors to be able to detect distance, and people who are visually impaired can wear those devices and they're able to sense, there's motors in the hat, and they're able to sense distance and get an idea of how close items are to them so they don't run into them. So, that's one of the more tech-based projects that we've done. I don't know if I did a great job explaining it, but yeah, so on and off, a lot of our projects are either building based or actual tech based. So those are just some of the examples that are actually centered around robotics and technology.
And how about, do you do anything with 3D printing or other maker related fabrication techniques, or?
Yeah, so our prosthetics have parts that are 3D printed. We've also made 3D printed fidget tools. Again, the masks that we've made use components that are 3D printed as well.
And this is just, it's amazing all the stuff that you're doing. It's so inspiring. Another question is about how the way that you focus on others being something that's very important. Has that how do you see that having benefit for other people? And do you see that this is a trend in education or at your school or with other teams, that more people are getting involved with this kind of an approach to connecting and volunteering? Do you feel like you're part of a movement?
Um, I don't know if I would say that it's a movement quite yet, but people do have a propensity for helping others. Um, I mean, we got Molly by just getting her to help build a garden shed. So that was what drew her to the team. So people like helping others. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it did become a movement.
Mhm.
I'd also like to think that, you know, different, as we've mentioned, different skills, and you can help people in ways that you wouldn't normally traditionally think are helping people. And, you know, there are so many different professions and interests that people have that do center around people that they might not even realize you can turn into a service opportunity. So people who enjoy performing, that's all about, you know, presenting to a bunch of people and sharing something that you're passionate about. And individuals who want to go into medicine and things like that, you know, there is an underlying drive to help people in so many different professions and things that you can do. So I think that I don't, like Elizabeth said, I don't necessarily know if it's a movement of wanting to change the world yet, but I think that there is a drive to help people that people don't even realize they have yet.
Yeah, I almost feel like we need a better name for what that drive is, right? It's that, it's not a haptic drive, it's a different kind of drive. Let me ask you this. Miata asks if involvement in robotics team and in doing science and engineering related work that you've done, has that affected what you might want to pursue in your own careers and in what you want to do professionally, potentially, and study at the university?
Yeah, personally, with doing construction-based projects, that's influenced my my ideas of what I want to be when I grow up. It helped me like want to be an architectural engineer. Working with construction-based projects has definitely influenced that.
For me as well, I'm going to the University of Washington to study electrical engineering, and that kind of all started when I came onto the team when the haptic devices that I briefly mentioned earlier were getting distributed and getting tested upon, and just getting to see the intricate circuitry that was being done really like sparked my interest. And knowing that something like that could help people, so knowing that doing engineering can be used to help others just really drove me to that.
Elizabeth, any thoughts on, how you've been influenced or you might change what your focus is for your future?
Yeah, so I don't think that robotics has influenced my career choice because I want to go into sociocultural anthropology, so that's not exactly engineering, but it's definitely influenced what I want to do with it because I mean, just spending so much time helping people, and with anthropology, there's such a potential for using that skill to connect others to help people as well. That's what I want to do with it.
Can I ask, I mean, if we're going to have the big community that both you and I think all three of you have said that you care about, Holly saying connection, Molly and you both saying community, a big community as the normal that you want to help create. It seems like we have a lot of work to do to figure out whether it's how do we account for privilege in a broader social world. Is there any way, what is it about the sociocultural anthropology that is drawing to you, Elizabeth?
Well, I'm just, so my favorite subject in school is history. So that's that. But sociocultural anthropology looks at different societies and how they're different from one another and how they're similar. And a lot of sociocultural anthropologists go on to work with non-governmental organizations, and they work with different cultures and the norms that they have that and just try to improve life and get everyone to a system of equality and just well-being. So
That's great. So, your interests, really span in a number of different directions, as well as deeply going into the questions about, direct applicability of science and engineering. If we're going to have community, we need to think about those other things too. Speaking of community, someone was asking about, are there specific organizations that you'd suggest people in either the Oak Harbor area or, on Whidbey Island more broadly, potentially, would you suggest any resources for them? I do know that at the library, at Snow Isle Library, we have resources available on our Ask and Tell at snow-isle.org. You can ask questions about that. Of course, there are organizations like United Way, and then. So I'd love to hear any organizations that you might suggest, but also if people want to, and this is being asked, would like to directly volunteer with your robotics team, are you accepting additional volunteer support from parents or from other people in the neighborhood who would like to contribute?
We are definitely always accepting people who want to come and help out with projects. We accept any range of experience. If you have a kid who's interested and maybe they don't necessarily go to our school, but we would love to connect with them and maybe set them up with a robotics team that's closer to them, or they can, come and do projects with us. We're constantly doing different things around the community. We do things not only in Oak Harbor, but Coopville, which is a town, just south of us. So if you're even from different parts of the island, there's probably something close enough to you that we're doing that if you ever want to come and volunteer, we have a Facebook page, the robotics team. So, Whidbey Island Wildcats Robotics, if you ever want to check out the stuff that we're doing and connect with us, you have maybe a skill that you think would be beneficial to helping what we do, or even if you're just interested in service, you can always connect and work with us. Mentors are always welcome.
Excellent. Another question is about some of the more large and complex projects. Patty asks, how do you find those projects? And particularly ones with many tasks. And if it's a large project and you need funding, how do you figure out that funding element?
So a lot of our project ideas do come from the community asking us to help them out with something. So basically, our community asks us for help. We help the community helps us back. We do a lot of fundraisers in which the community comes to support our team, and that's a big way we raise money as well.
Wow, so lots of different ways. I guess once you get a name for helping people, people can then start to find you instead of you having to reach out and find them.
yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. Let's see. Do you know if your robotics team's work is being taken on, are other robotics teams around the region or more broadly also taking on this kind of approach of extending the robotics work that they do into a broader community service?
Yeah, so the organization of robotics that we do first is for inspiration and recognition of science and technology is what FIRST stands for. And a big part of what FIRST is rooted in is taking the skills that you have building robots and being able to impact the community. So at our competitions that we go to annually, there's a big award called the Chairman's Award, which is something that we have won several times for our impact that we've been able to have on the community. So, a big part of the organization is encouraging others to help with the STEM skills they have. So just that mentality of, maybe some teams start off just helping others in order to get that award, but eventually it's kind of a cultural thing that's rooted in the team to help people, even if it started off just wanting to win that award. you know, eventually they still got to a place where it became a habit to want to help people. So I definitely think a decent amount of teams push themselves to try to take their reach beyond just robots.
Okay, so just to try and map this journey we've been on, it's, you know, we're beginning to come to towards the tail end of our hour together. You've shown us how simple it is to start volunteering, to take simple skills, listen to the community, reach out, find ways to engage that really make a lasting difference, that that connect, that allow you to work with people and make a powerful difference, and that has huge benefits to you and yourself personally, whether it's from the point of view of having a smile that inspires your heart, or even addressing something as difficult to deal with as anxiety. It can reduce your anxiety to volunteer and to give to your community. You've explained how you can solve really complicated, difficult problems that don't need to frighten you, because you know you can do what it takes to solve the problem. And you can start right where you are, no matter how little or how much capability you have. It's truly a breathtaking expanse that you've kind of simplified into an easy way to participate in our communities. So let me ask one final question to you. And I'd like to hear all three of your answers to this. You know, what would you like to leave us with as your call to action, as the thing you'd like us to remember most and to take most away from this time together in this conversation? And perhaps if there's one thing you'd like people to do, what would it be? Holly, we'll go ahead and start with you, and then do Molly, and then Elizabeth.
So I think if I were to have every person who's seeing this take one thing away, I want them to evaluate even just one thing that they're interested in, one thing that they love to do, evaluate why they love to do it, and figure out some way that they can use that to impact those around them.
Yeah, exactly what Holly said. Take what you love to do and help people with it. Be passionate about helping others, and that will truly make a difference in the world.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, I guess challenge yourself to help others. Don't just assume that it's not for you or that you can't do it. I mean, there are a million ways that you can help people, and I'm sure that everyone can do something. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you, all three of you, so much for all the work that you did to take away from your volunteering, and perhaps even to prepare this talk, to share this idea, to get it into a form that can be shared to so many additional people. Thank you to all of our listeners and viewers who tuned in, to those who asked questions. I hope we got to most of them. Apologies if we didn't get to yours, but the turnkey solution of listening and reaching out, whether it's to the Wildcats or to other organizations or people in your neighborhood, the door is open and ready for you. This has been our first of many upcoming TEDx Noir Libraries online events. And we really hope to see you soon at our next ones. Our next two will be on Saturday morning, where we'll have Jody Crimmins speaking about education and how young people are empowered by planting school gardens. And Kate Bracey will be sharing about civility and how we can create civility across our differences. I really encourage you to tune into those and to our remaining additional ones. This is an experimental format. We are trying this out. I appreciate all of your patience with any technical difficulties we may have had. And thank you so much to TEDx Noir Libraries, to all the people behind the scenes on the technical team, to our moderators, to our ASL interpreters, to our co-host Ken Harvey and licensee who helped make this happen from beginning to today and beyond, and to you as speakers and guests. We look forward to seeing you again soon. You can see the video shortly at the snow-isle.org/TEDx website. And we really look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much for joining, and have a fantastic day. Molly, Holly, Elizabeth, thanks again.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
TEDx Noel Libraries 2020 has been made possible through the generous support of corporate and community-based organizations who believe in the power of ideas and information. We'd like to thank these organizations for partnering with us. Coastal Community Bank, serving the financial needs of customers throughout Western Washington. Coastal Community Bank, where community is not just their middle name, it's how they do business. Community Transit of Snohomish County, providing public transportation alternatives and solutions which help people get from where they are to where they want to be. Overdrive, always innovating to help libraries transform by providing digital content such as ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, and video for public libraries. Washington Energy Services, providing heating, cooling, and other service solutions to help Puget Sound residents save energy and live better. And our founding partner, the Snow Owl Libraries Foundation, committed to mobilizing people and resources to expand the reach of Snow Owl Library services, promote civic engagement, and foster a lifetime of learning.